The Valero Alamo Bowl, 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, between Texas and Colorado. At BetMGM, Texas is a 9-point favorite, over under 62.5. I can tell you with this, and I'm going to have to do a final adjustment on Texas if you follow our power ratings and projections on the Action Network app and actionnetwork.com. I can tell you first with Colorado, they had a pretty good year, right? And especially for a first-time coach in a COVID year, but they beat UCLA 48-42. They beat Stanford 35-32. They beat your San Diego State offense 20-10. They beat Arizona with and Arizona's quarterback got hurt, and then they got drilled by Utah. So it's like, I don't know how great of a sample we really do have on Colorado, and their defense did look questionable at times. But what this comes down to me, and this is the quintessential bowl motivation game. I mean, I guess you could say that it's Sam Ehlinger's last game. Potentially, he could come back this year, doesn't count. But this Texas team had high hopes. There were people that were talking about going to the college football playoff, Big 12 championship. Now you're playing in the Alamo Bowl against Colorado. Not sure if they show up. First-time coach for Colorado. I'm sure this game probably means a lot to them, playing Texas, recruiting Texas. It's hard for me to see Texas really caring about this game, especially once you hear about the opt-outs. Not a great sign. A lot of rumors going around. Kids aren't happy. So why don't you start there with the Texas opt-outs and let me know how you see this game playing out.
Yeah, well, the Action Network, we created a landing page for your opt-outs for each bowl game, and I just don't think we have enough space for what's going on with Texas. So Texas is going to be without Joseph Asai, Taquan Graham, Chris Brown, Caden Stearns, Keontae Ingram. That was all on defense. Keontae Ingram, wide receiver Brandon Eagles. On offense, senior center Derek Kerstetter injured at K-State. He won't be in this game. And then the announcement came from what I read, I want to say 2 days ago. COVID is going through the team pretty heavy. And those announcements, those players that are going to be out will not be announced until the morning of the game. Throw everything. And then there's, that I haven't even named everybody. Like, there's 3 defensive players that could also miss with injury: BJ Foster, Jalen Green, Jadiah Barron. It's ground zero for Longhorns on the defensive side of the ball. And we don't even know who the COVID sit-outs are going to be. So, seeing all that, I thought to myself, well, you got to play Colorado immediately, because once more of this news comes out and it becomes more mainstream and people pay attention to this bowl, it's got to come down even farther. But I can't even get over, like, Joseph Asai missing on defense is the biggest name out there. He's the one that creates everything. When you see a havoc number attached to Texas, when you see line yards attached to Texas, that all comes from Joseph Asai. So, when I look at Tom Herman, when he's favored by 7.5 or more in his career as a coach, 7-12-1 against the spread, he is not a very good coach when he's favored by this much. And, let's take a look at the last 2 bowl games for Texas. Unmotivated teams. Utah comes off a Pac-12 championship game loss with opt-outs on the team. Texas wins. Rah, Herman. 2018, Georgia, tons of opt-outs, didn't win the SEC championship, didn't make it into the college football playoff. Rah, Herman wins, and Bevo's trying to chase Uga down the field. So, and if you look at, you flip the script and you look at Colorado with their new head coach, they haven't won a bowl game since 2004 against UTEP. The Buffaloes are extremely excited to be in this bowl game. Only 3 players on this roster have ever played in a bowl. So, Neuer and his stable of backs, I think they're going to be able to take advantage of Texas's defensive ends, whoever it's going to be. I don't know where they're going to grab these people from. The defensive depth is a real problem for Texas. I think it may take Ehlinger, now that, his top wide receiver, Brendan Eagles, is out. It may take Ehlinger a quarter or 2 before he clicks with his new running backs and wide receivers. I think Colorado's the bet, and I might throw a Colorado money line first half in there for fun, because there's more news to come from Texas, and it's none of it's positive.
Yep, I just took some Texas. I just took some Colorado, bought some to 10. It's bad. And then I have questions about the motivation. as on top of that. Whereas I'm pretty confident that Colorado will care here. So there's a lot of unknowns to me about Colorado based on like a small Pac-12 schedule, but this line should come down. I mean, Texas, and I'm not sure Texas cares or shows up.
And we've said that before. Like we had questions about Colorado's validity, and we didn't think that was real. But I read some sort of stat. I don't know if you saw this, Stuck. It's like if you just chase steam in bowls so far, it's like 13-2 against the spread, some crazy number like that. So I mean, don't fade. Obviously, the theme of the bowl.
Well, a lot of it is also inside. Like people get info before it gets released,
right?
And then a line moves before it gets announced, and then there's late announcements, and then the line is already moved on players being out, which is why sometimes this bowl season, if there is a bunch of late movement and it puts a team in range, like an hour or two before kick or a day, I'm hesitant. I'm not going to buy it yet, even though I like this team because there could be news I don't know about. That's just some of the shit you have to deal with in 2020.
Yep.